You're right. I think it's like KSI's kind of trash talk comes across as a little bit like cringy now.
Ooh.
It's corny, it's like little jokes and all this like little I can see John Cena. Like really, man.
They could have gotten that too.
Yeah, because is there even a winner to a tag team? Like only what if one person is like whooping the other guy's ass, but then his partner's getting his ass whooped? Like how do you judge the
a draw?
Yeah, right.
It's a draw.
And I'm sure Joet is happy. I mean, actually, I'm sure he's not because it was a close fight, but the judges were like the scorecards were super wide. The one of them had like corruption is happening at the very top of the sport. There's hella corruption on the bottom, man. Like it's riddled with it,
Yeah, the big fights that you see, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
He wanted that Frank Martin fight, and I believe Frank Martin's team knew that
that boy a duck.
Yeah, that Frank Martin knew they weren't gonna, maybe it wasn't the best idea to fight him yet. Even though Frank Martin's already 28.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Last Round Boxing Podcast, where we go over everything from traditional boxing to influencer boxing and everything in the middle. You got me, your host, Rudo.
Roberto. Pablo.
Also.
And this is the Last Round Boxing Podcast. Let's get right into it. Let's start off with some influencer boxing. Let's head over to the biggest card of possibly this year. Looking forward to this card. It's they just released a new face-off between KSI and Tommy Fury, and I'm not gonna lie though, just based off of watching it, just my initial reaction was it wasn't that entertaining. I felt it needed a little bit more of that spiciness, just like the Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul face-off. I felt like it felt short a little bit. It didn't really seem like the main event. It seemed more like a co-main event. But either way, I'm so very excited to see that fight. But who do you guys think won that interaction?
Well, I think that, like you said, one of the reasons is because just like Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul, they're kind of are the main event now. I feel like the majority of the eyes are mainly on Dylan Dennis and the Logan Paul fight. A lot of people aren't that. I feel like the hype a little bit kind of died down of KSI and Tommy Fury, but it's still a big fight. I think it's a huge step up for KSI, and he also talked about it in the face-off where he admitted he's like, yeah, this is a big step up. I haven't been fighting a lot of guys that are actually can box and all this stuff. Yeah. Big step up. Tommy Fury. I think Tommy Fury won, and I think it looked better for Tommy Fury. Because mainly, there's so much to critique about KSI's career, like it's really not easy. If he goes in there, he's calm and he just critiques obvious things about KSI, like who have you fought, who have you knocked out, like what really have you done to like say that you're so good and all this stuff to claim. And Tommy Fury clearly pointed it out, and he stayed calm in there, and I think he's gonna. I think he definitely won it. KSI was not rattled though. That's just the type of guy that he is. But yeah, I think it was I'd give the win to KSI.
KSI or Tommy?
Tommy.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah.
No, I give Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought Tommy. It was pretty not easy. I mean, he won that that face off. Even though it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Who won the face off. But I guess for when it comes to the influencer community,
it kind of is, right?
Yeah, it kind of, if you win the press conference, if you win the face off, for some reason the influencer community really holds that to great regard.
They latch on to that.
Yeah, they latch on. They're like, oh, KSI won this press conference, or Tommy Fury won this press conference. I don't know. I guess it's just a different community. Because in traditional boxing, they don't really do that. Like,
they don't really care that much.
Like, oh, I mean, it's more professional either way too. But either way, yeah, the press conference or the face off was not as entertaining mainly as the Dylan and Logan one, but there's some interesting points that they both made. For example, they were talking about the weight, also about the rounds, how KSI didn't want to do 8 rounds, he wanted to do 6, and how KSI was bashing Tommy, how he didn't. He's talking about, I'll fight you at any weight, but was really resilient at fighting at 185.
Yeah.
So there's some interesting points that both guys made, but overall, I think like what you said, Tommy looked better. Overall, KSI wasn't rattled. I agree with that. He was pretty calm. It's just his trash talking game isn't the best.
It's really not that good.
It's not that good. He used to be so much better.
Yeah.
He used to, like for the first Logan Paul fight,
it was better.
He was a lot better for like the press conference. Also for the face to face when they had it. That one was funny.
When he put on the wig.
Yeah, like that was good. That was funny. But yeah, I feel like as he's growing older, I think he's lost a little bit of it. But I mean, overall, he still wasn't, really shook by anything that Tommy was throwing at him. And he seemed pretty confident in himself. So, when it comes to KSI, though, I typically, have pretty good trust in him, actually delivering because, I mean, everyone's always had him the underdog in every single fight against Logan. And, he's always came up top. And even in other, business endeavors he's done, people really don't just overlook him, but he's always finds a way to actually make it happen. So he was saying that, I'm going to be right in the middle. I'm going to be, throwing.
Oh, you already know that's what he's
going to do. That's what he's going to bring, and I believe him.
Yeah.
Because that's his style of fighting. So it's going to be interesting to see, gives you something to think about this face-off.
Definitely. And I think you're right. I think it's like KSI's kind of trash talk comes across as a little bit like cringy now.
Ooh.
It's corny, it's like little jokes and all this like little I can see John Cena. Like really, man? Like that's your trash talking, So he kind of reminds me of a UFC fighter, Henry Cejudo.
Okay.
They call him the king of cringe because his trash talking is like so cringy. And it kind of reminds me of KSI. It's like his stuff is so cringy. He says kind of these one-liners that I don't know if he expects us to be like, oh my gosh. But, like, it really doesn't come across that way.
Yeah, and that's probably the reason why I would have to give it to Tommy Fury. Like, I believe he won that face-off. Really close face-off. Nothing too crazy. Like, the way I saw Logan Paul winning that face-off against Dylan Dennis. I really thought it was pretty even. Just based off, I think he came a little bit more prepared. He kind of, like, not exposed, but kind of brought out to light, like, who have you fought? Who have you beaten? You knocked out who? But who are they really? You know what I'm saying? But also... KSI, like, he took it, and he could have succeeded, but he just kind of stood his ground. He kind of took it, and he tried to, return with some not the best comebacks or whatever. But, yeah, and I think that's the reason why Tommy won that face-off.
Yeah.
And going back to what you said about KSI standing his ground, he also mentioned, and I remember this, he said that he has power equal to, I believe he said Deontay Wilder. That he's going to stand there, and he's got really good power, really strong power, and that Tommy isn't going to be able to take his punch.
Yeah, I think it's kind of delusional. Just like literally, Tommy kind of broke it down for everyone. He was saying, he's like, KSI's talking about all this. I'm going to knock you out. Tommy's like, who have you knocked out? It's like, I'm knocked out Temper. Like, who is Temper? I don't know. Tommy didn't even know who Face Temper was, man. Like, come on, man. He knocked out Face Temper. Okay, Face Temper. You know what I'm saying? That's really not.
He knocked out Fournier.
He knocked out Fournier with that elbow. Maybe he can go into the UFC, have a career as well. So maybe KSI's versatile like that. But
well, I mean, when I watch KSI and Jake Paul fight, I believe KSI has more power than Jake
I think
Paul.
so too.
Like,
I think so, just because of the wind up, literally.
The wind up, yeah,
it's insane.
He throws with intention, he throws with everything. Like, yeah, just the wind up that he gets with that right hand. I like Jake Paul when he fought Tommy. He tried landing that right hand, and when he would land it, nothing.
Unfazed.
Unfazed. Yeah, Tommy, he would eat it up. But I don't think he's gonna have that same reaction if he gets caught with a right hand from KSI. He's gonna feel it.
Yeah.
I think he's genuinely going to feel
Definitely.
it.
But
Yeah.
I think the problem is, will he be able to land it? Because that type of winding up, the pro is, yeah, you can generate a lot more power. But the con is, you're telegraphing it. And someone like Tommy Fury, who in theory is a boxer and has been boxing for a very long time, should be able to see that from a mile away and react accordingly. Either step out of the way, counter it, or duck underneath. just making sure that right hand doesn't actually touch him.
But that also comes to the point where, okay, he winds it up. He's pretty telegraphed right hand. Is Tommy Fury that good of a boxer to counter him?
That's the question.
To make him pay for something like that?
That's the question, yeah.
And also, I'm not really sold on Tommy Fury's power.
Me neither.
I don't think he's a big hitter.
No, he's not.
He's not. He's got the muscles. He's got the physique. He looks like he can hit, but
that doesn't translate to power, man.
Yeah, I mean, he never landed clean on Jake. A super clean punch. Maybe he did a couple of times, but a super one that buzzed or rocked him. No, Jake was able to withstand his ground at points, and regardless, he wasn't even able to knock out Anthony Taylor, who's not a very good boxer overall either.
And Tommy's much bigger than him.
And Tommy's much bigger, a bigger guy physically and just
stature,
just everything physically. So I'm not really sold on Tommy's power. So we're gonna have to see if he's able to maybe even hurt KSI if he's able to land clean.
Yeah, and another big talking point was the weight. They're fighting at 183, and Tommy Fury, during the whole lead up and before they signed the contract and everything, he kept on saying, let's do 185. KSI wanted 180. So Tommy also fought Jake Paul at 185. You think those extra 2 pounds will damage or have an effect in the fight?
Like he has to lose a little bit, like 2 more pounds.
2 more pounds. Yeah, he's fighting at 183 instead of 185.
It could. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to assume that his previous fights have been around that weight.
Yeah, I mean, they have, yeah.
So, no, I wouldn't say 2 pounds. I don't think 2 pounds should really get him super dehydrated that has a negative performance on his on come fight night. So, no, I don't believe so. But funny enough, going back to his physical, Tommy Fury's body is kind of like that one saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. Like, you just assume that because of his physique and his funny-looking build, and his giant biceps, you would assume that he hits hard, but no, he doesn't really hit hard. He really relies on his boxing abilities, and to be honest, I assumed that he was going to be able to, show the levels of his boxing abilities against Jake Paul, and to be honest, I didn't really see it to the best of what I thought I was going to see of Tommy Fury. So, and Jake Paul isn't even he's mostly a brawler, kind of a one-dimensional type fighter. And even then, I didn't really see Tom really using his different boxing abilities and whatnot. I didn't really see too many counter pulls or, when Jake Paul throws a right hand, I didn't see him like doing a Floyd, like step back and then shoot, returning a punch. So he really needs to be on his P's and Q's because KSI can definitely drop him, stop him. So, yeah. To be honest, I really think this is a 50-50 fight, though. In some aspects, it really just depends who comes. Not only like the best prepared, I believe both men are going to be prepared that night, but I believe it's who can execute the better game plan. That's what it is.
Speaking about game plans, Tommy Fury was actually talking. He said, I don't want to, in the face-off, he was like, I don't want to show people who's the better boxer. I want to show people like I want to go straight to the center of the ring and I'm going to punch you. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go for it.
That's cap, bro.
You think that's cap?
That's cap, bro.
He doesn't want to stand in front of KSI?
He's not gonna, if he wasn't even standing in front of Jake Paul, and at one point when he did stand someone in front of him, Jake dropped him with the jab.
Dropped him with one jab.
With the one jab that was
he slipped.
It was slip jab, whatever you want to call it, but
the shoe,
the shoe. But if it's a right hand from KSI, it's definitely gonna be a lot more damaging. So I don't see Tommy Fury, like that's his bread and butter, his boxing abilities, and so that's what he's training for in this camp. Trying to be boxing, try to look good, maybe more quicker and everything like that, but not so much on power. I don't think he's gonna focus too much on power.
I think it's interesting too. Tommy Fury said that he was training much more for this fight than Jake Paul, than the Jake Paul fight. He's saying that his preparation was a lot more, and he was like putting more in the gym, and he was going crazy. And he said it like adamantly, like really, like it was true. And I thought it was kind of interesting. I was like, so first of all, you didn't train for Jake Paul? or as hard as you could have. You know what I'm saying? Because that was your breakout fight. Look at him now; he's making hella money. You know, like that's if it was me, I would have been training hard. But he said he's training a lot harder for KSI. So, you know, you think that in his mind, this is a harder fight?
Well, two things. First thing, he's a Fury. You know, Fury's when they talk, they talk. look at Tyson Fury. He's one of the biggest talkers in the game.
Typical Fury.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the things that the Furies say, a lot of people don't really take with much, with much seriousness. You know, they be saying stuff. You know, it's funny, it's entertaining. But I feel that it's like mind games, you know. I'd be saying, I'm training more harder than I've ever trained, you know, for this fight, you know. Trying to get into your opponent's head that, like, hey, I'm going to get...
Taking it serious.
Yeah, he's going to be like, oh, man, he's taking it very serious, you know. Try to maybe, you know, some mind games type of stuff. That's how I interpreted it as, you know. There's no doubt he probably is training hard, but for him to make that, to say that he's training even harder for this fight than he did against Jake Paul. You know, I see it more as mind games than anything. Second off, let's say he is telling the truth, that he is training harder. I would say that's pretty accurate because KSI is just more of a very unorthodox type of guy. And I'm pretty sure Fury and his whole team knows that KSI probably hits harder than Jake. And his not only is his unorthodox style, but his power. Those two combined and make for a pretty unpredictable fighter. So they, you know, at least gotta make sure he's well trained and, you know, come up with a good game plan for this. So if he is telling the truth that he's training, you know, harder for this fight, then I can understand why, you know.
You know, yeah, and taking that into consideration, do you guys think this is a harder fight for Tommy Fury? Is KSI more difficult to get into the ring with than a Jake Paul?
Yes, I would say so. Like, I know that it's kind of hard to believe, you know, because of his last name Fury and, you know, because of his brother and then his dad, just the way they are outlandish, outspoken and whatnot. But I believe there is some merit to what he's saying. I believe he does have to train a little bit harder because, one, a lot more is at stake. So, like, you know, if he wins, you know, it's a big victory, right? And as he said before, he's going to end influencer boxing if he beats KSI. So coming with that mindset, I believe he has to. Two, also, if he loses, then I'm pretty sure his the Pauls might even just fucking exile him. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna be like, "How'd you lose against a YouTuber?"
Yeah.
But either way,
the Furies are gonna.
The Furies like his brother, his dad. Yeah. But either way, all jokes aside, though, like I believe KSI is a stronger opponent than Jake Paul. Apart from him hitting harder, he's just more of a dog. You know what I'm saying? Jake, he isn't a dog, but like if the opponent is a little bit isn't scared or isn't intimidated or whatever, then, you know, Jake Paul kind of does, you know, hesitate a little bit, but struggles, you know, he kind of, there's a little bit of doubt. On the contrary, KSI is more like I'm gonna keep at it. He's almost as if like a dog, like ferocious dog, trying to wanna get in there and just hit you with his most biggest shots. So I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, man. I think what you said is kind of true. It's like, just based on the fact that KSI is so unpredictable in the ring, he's so unorthodox. Like, he does a lot of mistakes, but sometimes, especially at this level, that can actually be to your advantage because one, people in the gym can't emulate it. KSI has a very unique style. It's bad, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's good, but it's unique. So, especially in the lower guys, when they're not that good, they're not used to it, that can come off as like, it can play to their advantage. The opponent might not know exactly what to do. So, KSI definitely has a unique style. I think Tommy Fury definitely should be on alert from it. And he's not going to be able to emulate it. So, I think it's true. It's not necessarily that Jake Paul that KSI is better than Jake Paul. It's just the fact that getting into the ring, so many unpredictable factors, like with KSI, just because he does things so wrong, so many mistakes, but like it kind of plays to his advantage.
It catches the opponent by surprise.
It catches him by surprise. It's kind of hard to deal with, you know, especially with these guys that they haven't been training their whole lives, so they haven't seen a lot of that. That's probably the first time ever getting to a ring with someone who does that. Especially with bright lights, you know, that could definitely influence your performance. Yeah, so I think Tommy Fury is but I think Tommy Fury will come in prepared.
You think
know?
so? Like
Yeah,
he has to. He should be, the favorite. You know what I'm saying? He does, the name, the dynasty. The Furies. He comes from a long, history of his family fighting, boxing, and whatnot. And I don't know how many. I don't remember the exact number of how many amateur fights that he has, but he has more overall experience than
Yeah, he's been boxing longer.
than KSI. So in theory, he should, on paper, come out victorious. But one punch changes everything.
Yeah, that is true.
So what will Tommy Fury kill influencer boxing if KSI loses?
I hope not. I'm not even gonna lie. I hope not.
We're out of job. We're done.
We're finished. Dude, I'm telling you, it's like a 50-50 fight. It's kind of hard just based off just some of the things that we just listed off. But I'm ready for my boy KSI. I want KSI to win.
Even if he loses, I mean, I don't think influencer boxing is dying. It's definitely growing, and it's stable enough to where even if like big titans like KSI or Jake Paul lose, they still have a big name, and the influencer boxing scene is still going forward.
Well, yeah. Also, like you said, it doesn't matter. Yeah, these elites, these big names, they can lose. They could, but it doesn't. It doesn't even. I mean, it does, I guess, hurt the brand a little bit, but I mean, there's so many smaller creators that want to come up and want to do something with this. So it's just a growing industry. So if anything, it's just gonna motivate more.
Yeah, I mean, like we just got a new fight announced on the Prime card. They keep on building it, and now we have a new tag team fight. Alex Wassabi is coming back to Misfits, baby. Let's go. So Alex Wasabi's coming back. He's teaming up with Nich Lmao, and they are going up against B Dave and Pineda.
Yeah.
The fan favorites. Yeah.
What are they called? Pina colada?
Something like that.
Yeah. Pineda colada.
Yeah. So what I'm saying? We're getting good fights. So it's definitely not dying. But what do you guys think about that fight? Let's switch a little to that.
It's kind of interesting though. We understand that B Dave and no, not B Dave. Pineda, like the Pina Coladas, they have pretty good chemistry. They won the last tag team matchup in convention style. But the one that I'm curious about is the Alex Wassabi and what was the other guy's name?
Alex Wassabi and Nich Lmao.
Nich Lmao. Like, that's kind of an interesting duo.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not quite sure how their chemistry is gonna match up come fight night. But I'm going to ride with my boys, the Pina Coladas.
Pina Colada?
Pina Coladas.
I find it kind of interesting that Alex Wassabi comes back and he's doing a tag team. I'm like, that's me personally. I would want to do something one-on-one, but he teamed up with Nich Lmao. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, this fight, it's more for the entertainment than anything. Yeah, it just adds entertainment to the Prime card. It adds something else,
New flavor.
Yeah, I mean, you got the fan favorites, you got Pineda, the GOAT, coming right back after.
El Flaco de Oro.
Coming right back, and, he's teaming up with B Dave, going up against Nich Lmao, who was beefing with B Dave. They have a little beef going on, and you have Wassabi, if I'm correct, he's called out Pineda once in a bit, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I believe so. I think I have seen that, but I'm not really too sure. So, and also he kind of wants to redeem himself after the whole, not fighting KSI back last year for the first Misfits fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it should be. I'm just seeing this as more of an entertainment type basis. Whoever wins. It doesn't really affect me at all. I'm not. I like them. They're just entertaining. As long as I'm entertained, and they go smoothly, unlike some of the other tag teams that's been going on, like the 4-way match.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that one. But if this tag team goes by smoothly and I'm entertained, then I'm here for it. It's Misfits.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of tag team matches. I think they're kind of sloppy and they don't really make that much sense. I'm sure there's like rules, like you have to tag in like your partner, because it's like, I mean, if you're like whooping his ass, like why would you want to tag out? You know what I'm saying? Like what the? Because they be tagging out like every 15, 30, like 20 seconds. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of it. So just like you said, I'm looking into the aspect of more an entertaining type of vibe. But I kind of wish we had gotten a solo Alex Wassabi fight. You know, I'm more interested in Alex Wassabi because obviously he has a lot of opportunities to fight big guys. You know, Deji obviously being one of the first that comes to mind. But I'd be more interested in seeing Alex Wassabi and how it goes for him. So it's kind of unfortunate that we get to see him only in a tag team. But nonetheless, I guess he is on the card, you know?
Yeah, and going back to the just the entertainment aspect, whoever wins or more importantly, whoever loses, it doesn't really affect their record. I don't even think it goes on their record, really.
I have no idea.
And even if it does, like, it doesn't really matter because it's really just
it's
tag
really
team.
just like a show.
It really is a show.
Yeah,
It's a spectacle and whatnot. But something there's a criticism that I've been saying is that there should be some type of like timer or something like in between like the white corners where it's like a light like red, and once it turns green, then you can tag out. Because sometimes it gets to the point where I think it was like Poison Ice? No, Poseidon Ice.
Ice Poseidon.
Ice Poseidon. Ice Poseidon. I said it right. Ice Poseidon.
Yeah.
I don't remember who they were going up against, but they kept tagging themselves
I
out.
know, yeah.
Yeah, they were getting their butt beat, and then they're like, "Oh, let me just tag out right away." So it's like, as the fan, as the viewer, you're just kind of like, you know, this is kind of cool, fun, it's different, but it's like. It's too much.
What's going on? You know, like
what's going on? Like, get your ass beat, or
take that whooping like a man.
Take that whooping like a man, or set something like rules, or you know what I'm saying, establish new rules in order for everything to run a little bit more smoothly. And I think the fans would be able to appreciate that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's very I just don't like, especially us looking at it from like a boxing standpoint, because we don't really get to see that much boxing. We just get to see a lot of tag outs, a lot of 10-second like and then they leave, and then
like you can't even tell who's like the better boxer.
You really can't tell. You can't judge their performances.
Yeah, it's like they're in maybe fighting. It's like 4 rounds, and they just they just be fighting for each other for like at least a maximum of like 40 seconds over a span of 4 rounds. So.
And then they tag out.
And it's, like just overall during the fight, 40 seconds that they've
literally
fought.
It's not even a full round.
Yeah, it's like, man, like it doesn't really give you much to go off. So I'm not a huge fan, but at the same time, I'm not, I'm just here for the entertainment for this fight especially. But like you said, I'd rather have watched Wassabi fight individually rather than in a tag team. An individual fight, a good one would have been against Pineda.
Perfect.
A perfect fight right there. Yeah, perfect fight.
Would have been a great fight. Yeah,
great one. Yeah, to add on the card, but not unless at least we're gonna see him fight again. It's been a while since the Deji fight, over a year. Well, actually no, since the I-Dubs. Yeah, so it's been a couple months since he last fought. But yeah, so hopefully, I'm pretty sure they're all happy to be on the prime card, the biggest card, the biggest Misfits card of the year, probably the biggest one ever they've had, easily the biggest one ever they've had. Yeah. So let's see what happens with that one.
Yeah, they're just happy to be included,
Yeah.
they get get some clout off that. Yeah.
And clowns to payday.
Yeah.
Clowns and payday. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like they could have fought each other, like if B Dave and Nich Lmao have beef.
Yeah. Literally, I don't understand why it has to be a tag team. Let
them two settle it, and then if Alex Wassabi has actually been calling Pineda, and Pineda actually wants to fight, or they want to get him on there, well, you know what I'm saying? If they could have gotten that too.
Yeah, because is there even a winner to a tag team?
Yeah. Yes.
There is?
Yeah, but I don't know how...
like only one... what if one person is, like, whooping the other guy's ass, but then his partner's getting his ass whooped? Like, how do you judge the...
A draw.
Yeah, right.
It's a draw.
like, only this guy from the team will... Like, I don't know. So.
And there's still the 3 judges, I'm assuming, right?
I suppose. I mean...
No, yeah, it's... See, there's a lot of variables that we don't, as fans don't really know, or they don't even they don't really establish it right. You know what I'm saying? The right way. But yeah. Okay. Moving on though. Let's go to traditional boxing. This past week when he had the Luis Venado Lopez against Joet González, and exciting. Back and forth action. Typical Mexican foe, stand your ground. I hit you, you hit me. What were you guys' thoughts on it?
It was not exciting and no fireworks, bro. That shit was disappointing, man. I definitely expected a lot more from Lopez. Yeah, I don't know. Just the fight, it didn't really live up to kind of what I thought it was. Mexican Independence Day, 2 Mexicans, let's go. They seemed like they were both game. Of course, Lopez always brings fire. He's just coming off of that spectacular performance against Conlon. Crazy knockout in his own hometown. So he's definitely had a high, and so I was expecting him to come in just the exact same way. And Joet, he always goes in there to fight. He's one of those guys. Just come forward, take the punishment, but at least I can land a punch. But I don't know. It didn't really seem. I don't know. Maybe Lopez wasn't really comfortable with Joet's pressure or something, man, because it really was not that great of a showing for Lopez. I definitely expected more of him. And I'm sure Joet is happy. I mean, actually, I'm sure he's not, because it was a close fight, but the judges were like, the scorecards were super wide. One of them had it 118 to 110. That's 10 rounds to 2. That definitely was not a reflection of the fight. So it kind of just goes to show it was a close fight, not super entertaining, but a fight's a fight. And they just give it to the favorite, the top ranked guy. So it's one of those. It was like, okay.
I mean, they're both top ranked.
They both are top ranked. But.
Well, I mean, but also Joet, he's just a tough guy.
He's just a tough guy.
It's a very hard, especially with the style that Venado brings. He's just a go forward also. Even though he's just unorthodox, he's essentially just a pressure fighter. But that type of style is the style that Joet fights a lot with, When he fought Navarrete, it was kind of like that too, Navarrete couldn't stop him. He couldn't drop him, He still won, but it was also a tough fight for him because he got caught with punches too. He lost some rounds. So it's just a style that Joet brings that, especially if your style is like Venado's, like a Mexican type style going up against Joet's style, which is also Mexican. It's going to make it hard. It's going to be a tough night, regardless of, even if you're like at the top. It takes just a different style. Like, Shakur, when Shakur beat Joet, he gave him a clinic, Yeah, it was a clinic, But stylistically, this fight was meant to be, back and forth. Even though Venado's coming off a, really big high, but...
It was also interesting that Joet was actually the one coming forward, pushing Venado back, which you don't really see that often.
Venado getting back?
Yeah, Venado on the back foot, man. Like, he was... a lot of the time, it was really just back foot, escaping from angles, this and that. Because Joet is one of those guys, just like we were talking about, just go forward. With his hands up, he just marches forward. Same kind of thing with Navarrete. He would push Navarrete to the ropes, which really does not happen that often. But... That's Joet's style. That's his pressure. That's one of his, I guess, redeeming qualities. He has good pressure, but not smart pressure, I'd say. But yeah, Venado, I don't know. Maybe he needs some work on his boxing on the back foot or something, because I just expected more of him. It's like I just expected more.
I think you're being a little bit too harsh on Joet. Like I don't remember if he was a world champion. But he wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't sure if when he fought Shakur, if he was a champion or if it was a vacated belt. But I mean, apart from that, he's a world title contender like 3 times. You know what I'm saying? And he's brought like decent performances, or you know what I'm saying, like, or else they wouldn't have brought him back for this Venado fight. And so he does have a little bit of qualities. High guard, the pressure, constant pressure, and whatnot. And I think that's kind of what Venado kind of tripped him out. I think he expected him to be game, and then afterwards just kind of succeed, and then it would be Venado's game plan, his rhythm, him dictating the pace of the fight. But no, he struggled up until the last round, Venado. So I think hats off to Joet, and it kind of sucks though, because as what you said, the scorecards do not reflect at all what we saw that night, and it kind of sucks because now he has to go back home and with another loss, another I didn't make it again. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that I mean, this has always been a problem, bro. So much the scorecards, and there has to be like something changed, man, because these scorecards, it keeps on happening, and then a lot of people on Twitter and on X and on IG everywhere, they complain, but then like 2 days later, it dies down, and then nothing happens. Like, it's just getting like tiresome, because it's like It always happens in these big fights. It's like, at least give the man his props, you know, to tell him, yeah, you only won 2 rounds of that fight. No, that's disingenuous right there.
And I think it's crazy if you're just like someone who just casually watches boxing. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't even. Just to put it a little bit more into perspective, is that if this happens in the big level, the big stage, world title fights where the judges don't give, I'm not going to say the correct scorecards, but they give a scorecard that's biased, really, you know, super biased. Well, imagine in the lower, when there's no belts on the line, when it's just the boxing promotion and his guy, and it's someone else. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great point. Yeah, like corruption is happening at the very top of the sport. There's hella corruption on the bottom, man. Like, it's riddled with it. You know.
Yeah, the big fights that you see, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot more, and it's just hella biases and just nah.
There should definitely be some accountability with these judges or something, man.
Definitely some repercussions.
Something, dude. Like, because the reason they can keep getting away with this is because nothing happens. Yeah, they might get shit talked for 2 days, but then boom. And then Top Rank's still going to call them back. Matchroom, they're all going to call them back. Hey, you want to judge this fight? Okay. The cycle just keeps on going.
This is what I'm saying. It's 2 days, and then their check comes back in on Monday.
And then they're like, let's go. Okay,
let's go.
Yeah. Come on, man. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I just expected more of Lopez. You know, I'm a very big fan of Lopez. I really,
same.
You know, I really like his style. It's so unorthodox, but it works amazing, man. And
it's really weird,
really strange.
Let's break it down a little bit. Like very unorthodox. His hands are low.
Yeah.
But apart from that, like as you're doing right now, he almost his back is straight up. Yeah. Not only that, but then his neck is also a little bit out, like chin a little bit exposed.
Breaks every rule of boxing. They tell you keep your chin tucked. It was like no.
And I think the funniest part is just the cherry on top. He's 5'4". Yeah. He's a small dude.
Oh man, he's a midget man.
He's a small dude, and yet he's up here, chin high up, exposed, and he's still coming forward, swinging.
Fuck, man. Yeah.
Swinging from the waist.
From the waist as well. Oh my gosh.
Uppercuts from the back foot almost.
And it's crazy because it's good. Like, it actually works. The offense is amazing. Like, he's one of the best combination type of fighters right now at the moment. So, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Crazy power. I mean, we just talking about that Conlon knockout. I don't know if Conlon has woken up since, man. Like, he slept him in his own backyard in Ireland, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy, man. So, I was just expecting more of Lopez.
But yeah, I was expecting a little bit more, but then again, like, you know, you can't count out González. González is a durable fighter, so you know, good performance on his part, but you know, I believe we'll probably see Venado.
It looks like he wants to unify
against who?
Robasi.
That fight could happen.
Fact, you know?
Both guys are on Top Rank and whatnot. That'd be an interesting fight.
That'd be a good fight. Yeah,
that'd be a good fight. Just real quick, how do you see that playing out?
I think it's kind of hard to say because Robasi's game, man. You know, so kind of difficult to say. But I just ride with my Mexican.
Oh, Mexican blood.
Yeah, I'd ride with my, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'd go Venado Lopez.
Yeah. I mean, Robasi, typical Cuban. Not typical Cuban. It's typical, it's a little different. You know, typical Cuban is like all just footwork. Yeah.
That's that Cuban one that puts you to sleep, man.
No, mostly moving really good on the feet. Just nonstop movement. Quick punches. Speed is there. Really, really high ring IQ. Robasi has that though, really high IQ, but the thing is that he goes forward. You know, not a lot of Cubans, you know, typically go forward, and he's got a little bit of pop to his punches.
He got some pop.
They call him el tren.
El tren, way.
That's the trend.
Yeah.
The train.
I was like, steroids. Yeah.
But just the sheer aggression and all of that, but. He is Cuban. He's
still a boxer.
He's still a boxer. Yeah. You know, that's ingrained since he was an amateur. Definitely. And so there's been times where he goes forward, and let's say the opponent is a little bit stronger or whatever. So Robasi goes back to the ring, high ring IQ, moves around with his legs. So, and he's able to like adjust really well. So You know, like going back to Venado and Joet, you know, we were kind of hoping that Venado would adjust, make adjustments and whatnot. Didn't really see that, but you know, that's a really good fight. You know, because I believe he has a lot more pop than Robesi, so he has that banging on him. But it's a good fight. We'll see if that fight happens maybe at the end of this year or possibly next year.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Hopefully, hopefully Lopez is serious about that fight, because I mean that'd be a great unification, man. Honestly,
Most
you know, and we're gonna see who the top guy is. Maybe now talks about pound for pounds. You know, we're climbing up the ranks. You know, and also he also said Lopez, he wants to unify, and then once he unifies, you know, hopefully he unifies with Robesi. Wants to move it to 130. So more fighters, man. He looks like an ambitious guy. I think he can do it, but I think he just, you know, stay on track and
he's on the right path.
He's on the right path.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to see that, man. I want to see his career.
Yeah, I think another fight that I think we all wanted to see was the Shakur and Frank Martin, but unfortunately we did not get that. So the next best thing I would say is we got Shakur and Edwin De Los Santos, and I believe that's. I believe that could be even a more interesting fight than a Frank Martin fight. Just because I believe a lot of people don't really know of Edwin if you're just the casual boxing viewer. But Edwin De Los Santos is such a... he's almost like a complete fighter. He can box, he can bang. It wasn't until his last fight I didn't know he could box, but he could box pretty well. He got decent speed, and he's got power as well. And he also has that thing that could possibly make it a little bit more difficult for Shakur. He's also southpaw as well. Dominican fighter. Not a lot of boxing coming from the Dominican, but you know, this guy comes to bang.
Yeah. But yeah, finally Shakur got a fight, man. Finally someone was willing to sign the contract. So we're gonna see, when is the fight? November. We're finally gonna see Shakur back this fall, you know, so that's good. You know, finally he gets a fight coming back in, and I got high hopes for it. You know, just like you said, I think this is going to be a good fight. Edwin De Los Santos definitely comes to fight, and we all know Shakur is just a master at boxing. So I'm looking to see some skills on display.
I see Shakur wiping the floor with him. I think he's gonna shut him out.
Yeah.
I believe he's gonna shut him out.
Shut out.
Yeah, if it's not a shutout, maybe a 10-2. You know, you know, it's gonna be some moments, but I think Shakur is gonna
Shakur
easily win the fight. Yeah.
Shakur doesn't have that power to stop him, huh?
I mean, I think his power is a little bit underrated. Shakur, I think he has more. I think it's more of a like a cautious type of power, you know, like to keep you like, okay, like, you know, on your toes type of power, not, you know, one punch devastating to break you down like that. But yeah, his is more, you know, just try to, you know, more cautious type. But I mean, I don't know, Shakur is on this wave right now. He simply just keeps going up and up. He just keeps leveling up, and I mean, he wanted that Frank Martin fight, and I believe Frank Martin's team knew that
that boy a duck.
Yeah, that Frank Martin knew they weren't gonna, you know, maybe it wasn't the best idea to fight him yet, even though Frank Martin is already 28. Come on. Anyways, point is, Shakur is on this wave. He's leveling up. He's rising. He just needs a couple, 2 or 3 more fights, you know, big fights in order. I feel he just needs one big fight. One big fight to really catapult him to superstardom. Yeah, because he's rising. He's one of the rising stars right now in the sport, and just one big fight that, you know, with another big name, and I can see him being a superstar. Yeah,
he's definitely impressed me, man. Like, his skills are really a sight to see. You know, like it's crazy unique. He's at the top level at boxing. You know, he's had an illustrated amateur career, right? He went to the Olympics, got a bronze, silver. He got silver. And now he's, you know, sometimes that doesn't translate though, but for him, it definitely translated. He's a master boxer. He's definitely growing. He's definitely grown into himself as a professional. You know, changed up his style a little bit, but yeah, it's amazing, man. It's a sight to see, and I think he's definitely skilled, but I think the only thing he lacks is the power. Just like you said, it's not a knockout type of power, right? He's not going to be putting guys to sleep or really knocking them down. But it's one of those powers where, like, he has enough pop to where his opponents aren't just going to go forward and not think about the punches that are going to come. You know, they're gonna be like, okay, he's still he can hit me, and it's not like I don't feel nothing. So I'm gonna keep cautious. You know, I'm not just gonna go in there with and try to land something on him. But yeah, definitely his skills are compared to anyone, probably one of the best. And just like you said, he been looking for really big fights, and recently everyone has been ducking him. You know.
Yeah, it's funny what you said is that he only needs a couple more fights and he's definitely going to be catapulted into that stardom. You know, it's almost sort of a similar effect that Terrence Crawford had once he
beat Spence.
You know, it's almost as if like he became a national like household name. You know, what
he was going on like morning shows and stuff.
Morning
like that.
shows,
Yeah.
different podcasts and stuff like that. And now not only like does a casual, but even like people who just every now and then they tune into a huge mega fight like a Canelo's fighting, or Mayweather's fighting, Pacquiao's fighting. You know, now I think his name is really out there, and I think as what you said, we just need to see a couple more fights of Shakur going up against these other elites, and if he comes out victorious, then yeah, he would possibly be. I wouldn't say the next face of boxing, but he'd definitely be up there. You know, whatever if he's in within the top 10 pound for pound list, like he's definitely gonna be. You know, top 5 or, you know, on the first upper half of that pound for pound list. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how that fight plays out. But I you guys can't sleep on Edwin though.
Nah, he's gonna lose, bro.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I'm not sleeping on it, but it's Shakur Stevenson we're talking about. I don't see Edwin beating Shakur Stevenson.
Edwin called him out. He was actually in Newark where Shakur's at, and he even tagged him. He was like, I think he was sparring, and so he took a picture with his Spartan partner and was like, "Hey, Shakur, where you at? I'm at your house."
Yeah, that's funny. At least, he's getting, at least he's getting vocal. That's good, honestly. Some promotional.
Yes.
You know, some promotions. Yeah, that's great.
And that's what's needed. You know what I'm saying?
Especially for a guy like Shakur too.
Both, because they're not household names, but especially Edwin. Like that's very smart on his part. You know, if no one, Shakur moving up to 135, Edwin has been there for a while now. And he doesn't really have that fan base. He doesn't really, you know what I'm saying? So in order for him to get these bigger fights, he has to do stuff like that. So that's smart on him, you know, perfect timing and whatnot, you know? Yeah. So, you know, he took the opportunity and got it.
The boogeyman is back.
Boogeyman's back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on the undercard, we got another Mexican.
Oh, yes.
Emmanuel Navarrete, who we are another big fan of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe we're biased towards Mexican guys.
Maybe we are, yeah.
But yeah, so he's gonna be fighting on the undercard.
Mm-hmm.
Great, fucking amazing. He's gonna be fighting a Brazilian.
He's gonna be fighting the Brazilian, an Olympian, one of Shakur X's opponents.
Yeah.
Robinson Conceicao. Yeah, man. I am, you know, as a Mexican, I'm rooting for my boy Navarrete, El Vaquero, but yeah, it's going to be a tough fight for him, bro. Especially when it comes to, I believe, you know, Navarrete is a hell of a fighter. When I first discovered him, he was fighting at 122, and he was basically just wiping out the whole division in spectacular fashion. He was beating the crap out of his opponents. Either by KO or TKO, and as he's moving up from 122, 126, and then 130. What's interesting, though, is that even though he was destroying these opponents, he was doing it almost in a similar fashion in the aspect of unorthodox, but like sort of like just how like Venado does it. It was very unorthodox, and it was also like things that you shouldn't do in a fight.
He makes a lot of mistakes.
A lot of, you know, quote unquote mistakes, but because they were working for him, or he was able to, his opponents weren't able to expose that, you know, everything was going well. He would just go in there and destroy them. But it seemed as though, you know, he became champion at 122, 126, and at 130 he's a champion now. But it seemed as though possibly at 130 that his power, he still got power, but it's possible that now that his opponent's possibly a little bit more bigger, or maybe they just know what to expect, but it just seems as though like it's much more easier for them to expose Navarrete and his flaws at 130.
Well, yeah, he was just a weight bully, man. He was a really big guy at 122. Massive. Crazy long arm reach as well. and that was one of his biggest advantages. So he just tee off on these. He fought Isaac Dogbe, bro. That boy is like 5'1", man. Like
4'2".
Like what the hell? Like Navarrete is so much more bigger than him, and he's also struggled with weight too. So, yeah, this is a tough fight, honestly. Like for Navarrete. Conceicao comes to fight. He's game. Even with Shakur, we saw it. Like Shakur, obviously a master boxer, so he was able to just pick him apart, right? So it was great to see. But Conceicao was still game, still throwing punches, and and also he won. He beat Oscar Valdez. So although they gave it to Oscar Valdez, complete robbery. Conceicao beat him. So this guy is one of those guys who throws a lot of punches, very active, and he got some pop, man. He messed up Oscar Valdez's face, man. Like, that boy was, that boy was beat up. So, yeah, Conceicao is a tough opponent. Navarrete should go in there really prepared, and be ready for a war.
I don't think it's gonna be a war.
No.
I mean, you're trying to paint the image that Conceicao is like a brawler or a boxer. He's more of a boxer. That's his style. He's more of a boxer.
He's
he
a high
boxes,
volume type of fighter.
but he's not gonna go in there to bang. Let's be honest. It's not gonna be a war. It's gonna be a very tactical fight. It's gonna come down to who makes the first error, or making them pay for their mistakes. I see this fight just mainly struggling in the beginning, opening rounds, couple rounds early on for Navarrete. Is going to be trying to adjust to because let's be honest, Conceicao is not going to go in there to try to slug it out with Navarrete. I mean, Navarrete hits hard, hits you with awkward angles, and he's a heavy-handed champion. So he's going to try to use his legs, just like what he did to Valdez when they fought. Just use the ring, use his IQ, try to, tag him, try to, hit him with combinations, move around. That's what he's going to try to do. But I don't see this going as a war. It's just going to be mainly just based on just trying to be smart in the ring,
I don't think so. I mean, both of those guys throw a lot of punches, man. And Navarrete has always been known to be a high volume puncher. And Conceicao as well. Navarrete is not that hard to hit. So I think it's gonna be a little bit of blood, a little bit of action. I don't think it's gonna be that much of a chess match. But that's what I'm expecting. And if it goes into a chess match, then that'll probably be boring, because now that's not Navarrete's style. Navarrete isn't one of those guys. Navarrete is one of those guys that he's gonna come at you with different angles and try to throw a lot of punches. So.
Nah, it's going to be a chess match. I'm calling it right now. It's going to be a chess match in the beginning. Conceicao not going to try to fight him any other way, because he knows that's just falling into Navarrete's style. Yeah. So that's how I see it. Either way, I think Navarrete's going to beat him.
We'll see, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting that you say that. I believe the reason why it's going to be a tough fight for Navarrete is simply because, Robinson, an Olympian, a decorated amateur, he still has that... he's adjusted to the pros, style and whatnot. But he still has that amateur, that boxing ability, high ring IQ. And what he did with Oscar Valdez, yes, I believe he should have beaten Oscar Valdez. And the way he beat him was really just boxing him, moving really well on his legs, not staying in one spot, because he knew Valdez was really just banking on that left hook. He knows that Navarrete is just going to be banking on being able to land a whole bunch of punches and stuff like that. It doesn't really matter what the angles it comes from, just as long as it lands. So he's definitely going to be on his P's and Q's and really just, I'm going to assume, stay on his toes, move around, and not really stay in one spot. And the good thing about Robinson is that he has a little bit of pop too. He has dropped opponents as well, with one punch and whatnot. It's rare, but he does have that power as well.
I guess so, but also, I mean, this is a very calculated opponent for Navarrete. I mean, Conceicao, he last fought on the Josh Taylor against Teofimo card, and it was a no contest. And then the fight before that was against Shakur, and he lost. So this man hasn't won in like over a year. He's coming off of not the very best performances of his career. And I mean, Navarrete's coming off after destroying Valdez. You mentioned that, Conceicao beat Valdez, which is true. I saw him beat him too. But Navarrete destroyed Valdez. He beat him up. He left him even worse than what Conceicao left him. And also, not even if Conceicao goes into a boxing type of style, which I see him doing, trying to make it more of a chess match. I can see him, having success early on. But every time that Navarrete fights, a boxer, like he fought Villa, I think Diaz, back in, what's it, 2016? Or not 2016, a couple years back, 2021. Yeah, the Puerto Rican. That dude was a boxer. And, he had success early on, but, I mean,
I would have stopped.
he got stopped. He got dropped like 4 times. He got stopped. He was badly beaten, and for being a boxer. So, I see Navarrete winning this fight. Hurting them and taking the win over decision.
Well, I'm definitely gonna ride with the Mexican over here.
Yeah. Well, why was Robinson's last fight a no contest?
No,
you don't remember. Yeah, that's crazy. When you put it like that, yeah, I guess. But I mean, overall, like, I'm pretty sure Robinson, like, it's an opportunity to again fight for a world title. He tried to get it when he fought Shakur, came up short, and there were some rounds he actually gave Shakur, a lot of problems. But
it wasn't anything crazy.
It wasn't anything crazy, but it made Shakur. He made him go turn it up a gear or 1 or 2 gears above.
I didn't feel like that.
Well, we're talking about Shakur, man. This is a master boxer. Obviously, he's gonna pick this guy apart. But we're this is Shakur Stevenson we're talking about. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna look bad against Shakur Stevenson, except like the top elites. So, but I think Robinson Conceicao is game. He's definitely game, man. He's definitely he showed a great performance with Valdez. He tried his best against Shakur Stevenson. He was not going to be Shakur Stevenson. Let's put it that way. Shakur Stevenson is definitely at the top level. So, and then I don't know what happened. Tomfoolery happened in that last fight to make it a no contest. But, I definitely think he's hungry. I mean, he's hungry, just like you said, another opportunity at a world title. And I think he believes, he has in front of him a guy who I feel like he could beat. Like, in his mind, maybe going up against Shakur Stevenson, master boxer. You're like, maybe it might not be able to beat him. Look at his fucking skills, man. What the hell? But now he's going up against Emmanuel Navarrete, who someone, like we said, makes a lot of mistakes.
Quite a bit of flaws.
Yeah, there's definitely opportunities for Conceicao to win this match. It's not out of this world for him to believe that he could beat a guy like Emmanuel Navarrete.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I believe so, and I believe those boxing abilities are definitely gonna give Navarrete some problems. Just given the fact that someone who has quite a bit, if they stick to boxing, he's known to struggle a little bit, So we'll see how that plays out. We'll be tuning in November. Anything else you guys want to add? I think we got it. Let us know down in the comments below. Who do you guys thought won the face-off between KSI Tommy Fury, or if Frank Martin was a duck? And now, who do you guys have, Shakur and Edwin De Los Santos? Let us know in the comments below, or actually check out our Discord. That's also going to be in the link in the description. Until then, it's been your bar, El Rulo,
Pablo,
Asael.
And it's been the Last Round Boxing Podcast. Peace.